Good evening. I'd like to call to order the closed session portion of the Albany City Council meeting for September 18th, 2017. Council will be convening for closed session to discuss the following: conference with legal counsel to discuss significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, claim filed by the Albany Lions Club regarding the Albany Hill Cross. Before we begin this evening, I would like to share a few words with you. The Albany City Council was dismayed to learn that in a departure from historical practice, the cross on Albany Hill was lit by the Albany Lions Club on Monday, September 11th. Flags on city buildings and parks were flown at half-staff on that day, which is an appropriate, non-denominational civic remembrance of that terrible and tragic day. I'm sure many Albany residents paused during the day for personal reflection. I want to reiterate that neither the City Council nor the City of Albany endorses in any way the lighting of the cross for any occasion, religious or nationalistic, or supports its continued presence on public property. We have been notified that the Albany Lions Club filed suit in federal court on September 11th against the City of Albany and several employees and council members individually. The civil action seeks damages and injunctive relief for deprivation of due process, equal protection, interference with the right of free speech, and interference with the free exercise of religion. The city will respond to the Lions Club's claims through the judicial process. We appreciate the input and support received to date from the public, and we encourage you to continue respectfully sharing your concerns with the Lions Club as well as the City Council. I'll now open this up for public comment. Can I see a show of hands of our speakers, please? Yeah. Penelope, can I go to one? I'm sorry, we're going to have 1 minute for each of you. We do have a very long closed session with our attorneys, and we do need to get in there. So we'll give you 1 minute each. So come on up and line up.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Bartlett. I've been an Albany resident for 15 years and was a Berkeley resident for 20 years before that. I'm outraged by this lawsuit, especially since it comes from what presents itself as a community service organization. This kind of suit could be nothing farther from serving the community. I have two basic comments. The suit presents itself as addressing free speech. As most of us are aware, in today's political climate, this phrase can be a code for attempting to force discredited practices of the past on communities that are dedicated to openness and inclusion. Therefore, this action is clearly a political act, and opposition to it should treat it as political. It's not an innocent or naive act given today's social climate. My second point is that the suit's reference to freedom, the suit makes a reference to freedom of religion as an issue. The religious, that is to say fundamentalist Christian aspect of the complaint is now explicit, and we should treat that as an attempt to force a religion into the public secular space. Just one moment. I also noted that claims of the Albany Lions to property rights on Albany Hill, this should be determined definitively, and if it's not true, should be used in the city's defense.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Judy Kerr. I'm a 27-year resident of Albany, and throughout those 27 years, the vast majority of those years, I was not bothered particularly by the cross. In 2013, I contacted the city manager, and in personal interest, I asked the city manager if it would be possible for the city of Albany to fly a rainbow flag when the decision regarding the Defense of Marriage Act was finally decided by the Supreme Court. I was told that that was not possible, that the city would not do that. And the reason the city would not do that would be that because anyone could fly any flag they wanted. So the irony of the cross on the hill should be fairly apparent, and I truly support everyone on the commission to the council to work to find the legal grounds and to resolve this without too much expense.
Thank you.
Mr. Nichols is demanding this issue be permanently settled in the club's favor. The response of the city must go beyond a mere defense. The city must respond promptly with legal procedures to remove the cross. They must demand the issue be permanently settled in the city's favor. If the city merely defends against this suit, they will probably prevail, but only after considerable expense. The result would be that the cross would still be standing and the club would still be unwilling to negotiate its removal. In other words, we would have the same condition that we thought we had a month ago. Furthermore, every time the city in any way considers its right and duty to oversee the cross, they will know that doing anything could result in another massive and abusive lawsuit. Please, we have to deal with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Charles Smith. As a recovering Catholic, I'd like to say that when I see the cross, it makes me think of child abuse, authoritarianism, and male chauvinism. A scientist might see the cross and think about the lack of advancement in science because of religion. People such as Galileo and Darwin knew that fully well. A Jew might look up there and see genocide instead of a cross. However, under the First Amendment rights, the cross has a right to be in a church, but not on public property. I spoke here several months ago, and I didn't say anything hardly, because I thought it was such an easy subject that we would prevail. That's not the case. I'm here months later, and the cross is still up there and actually being lit. I trust that you people will meet my expectations and the expectations of the people that believe in the First Amendment rights and remove the cross. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Roy Torkington. I'm an Albany resident. Now, the lawsuit is an outrage, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get judicial support for removing the cross. I hope you'll ask your attorney to consider strategies for this, but I have some suggestions, as you can well imagine. In paragraph 108 of the complaint, Nichols refers to the Lions Club's ownership of the cross. So the issue of ownership is already in the proceedings, and you should be able to counter-argue that the city owns the cross. And since you're unanimous in your wish to remove the city's cross from city property, we won't go into the grant deeds, I've done enough with that, because it puts the city in violation of the Religious Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. So you're being put in the position of violating the First Amendment of the Constitution. You try to maintain good relations with the Lions Club and negotiate with them, and we get this action. But the advantage is it's an action in federal court, which is the perfect place to raise that constitutional argument. And in case someone may say, well, the argument of ownership and removing the cross is not appropriate, you have another opportunity because you're going to have to enter into an alternative dispute resolution. And if you go into mediation, the ADR local rules, paragraph 6-1, look them up, says that a hallmark of mediation is its capacity to broaden resolution options, often by exploring litigant needs and interests that may be formally independent of the issues in controversy.
Thank you very much.
Just remember, if you remove the cross, how would this complaint look? Would this complaint look any differently, and would it cost less money, any more money to fight it?
Hi, my name is Brian Martin. I'm a 13-year resident, and I appreciate the statement about the September 11th display, lighting of the cross, because that was very disturbing to me to see that happening of only one faith when there were so many other people that lost their lives, and yet it was coming from our public park. And this is exactly the problem that we have with this one religious symbol in our public park. I am concerned that also that the Lions have said in sections 23, 29, 30, and 31 that the wire was only passing through branches, when actually we have photos showing it physically attached to the tree being supported as a power pole. And I'm also concerned that one of the remedies is for the city to do nothing if there are any safety concerns, that the city would have a permanent injunction from doing anything if there's a safety concern, and that no safety concerns could be challenged. I'm also very concerned about the green space going away from public to private. If there were some misdeeds of the city, it hardly seems that these remedies would be the proper remedies.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandy Marsh. I'm a 26-year resident of Albany. I'll keep this short because it's only a minute, but I'm here tonight to comment on this issue that's been going on for way too long. I appreciate the efforts of the City Council in trying to find a solution to this problem. And I'm really dismayed that the Albany's Lions Clubs continues to disregard their own constitution and bylaws, which they're bound to obey. Their actions go against the spirit, principle, and purpose of the international organization, which is a secular, non-political service organization. The Lions Club lawsuit is wrong in so many ways. When they claim injury for not being allowed to honor the victims of 9/11 by lighting a cross, I am shocked at the blatant disregard to for non-Christians who lost their lives on that day. There were more than 400 Jews who died on that day. There were Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists, and yeah, there were even atheists who died then. All right, I'll say more later.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Tulio. I'm an Albany resident, and I sent you guys a long letter about easement law. And if you didn't have a chance to read it, I want to make a couple of points. Hopefully I have time. I don't mean to be presumptuous, but just in case you don't know this. In property law, an easement does not confer ownership, but grants the easement holder lesser rights for use of the property. It's a principle of easement law that the easement holder's rights have to be less than full ownership. The easement can't deprive the owner of the property that the easement is on, the city in this case, of use of its own land. That would be invalid because it wouldn't allow such an easement would be invalid because it deprives the owner who granted the easement the use of their own land. Also, that seems to be what the Lions are demanding, exclusive use of that part of the land. If you look into it, you might find that other governments have easements that grant service organizations an easement for ingress and egress to maintain a monument. Those easements don't grant ownership. Anyway, it's in the letter.
Thank you, and I'm sure we all read your letter. It was great. Thank you. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you all for coming.